check, check. Good, you?
Good morning.
All right, well, we're figuring this out. If dispatch calls you to get your debriefs, please take a second, step out, get your debriefs done. I want to make sure we get all those cleared off. We got too many in there. Okay. Anyone need any PPE stuff? Gloves? You got gloves yesterday.
Gloves,
What size?
extra large.
Extra large. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll take some. Large. Thank you.
All right. So we actually we got some pretty good demands on the board this morning. I got some great tune-ups on the board. We're booked. So we're going to go through this. We're going to go through it pretty quick this morning. Ollie ran into a couple condenser fan motors last week that he had to follow up on, and he's going to go over some specifics on sizing it. If you have a condenser fan motor you're looking at, what size we can come back with, what's acceptable, what's the ranges we can do, and one of the most important things is make sure that we have the right size capacitor or electrolytic condenser on there. It's critical that you do that. If not, it's going to burn the motor up, so we've got to make sure we do it right. So Ollie, if you would, come on up and let's get started.
Good morning. So we gotta go over the condenser fan motor and blower motor. So how we recognize the condenser fan motor from blower motor? You can tell me. Condenser fan motor is sealed. We don't want to get any water to the condenser fan motor. The blower motor is just, as always, has the housing here to breathe, right? So some of the blower fan motor is 220. It doesn't mean it's 220 is for the condenser fan motor. We use the 220 for electric air handler, right? So we gotta make sure we don't mix them up. We don't put the blower motor to the condenser fan motor, or either way. So on a condenser fan motor, you always follow the schematic diagram. Schematic diagram is on the box or on the side of the motor, right here. If you don't have the box, I know Mr. Roy has most of the motor back there on the shelf without box, but you don't have to have a box to follow the schematic. It's right here. It exactly tells you what wire goes where. If you're using the half horsepower, it tells you exactly what size capacitor you need to have. On this particular motor, half horsepower needs 10 microfarad capacitor, right? At the same time we're changing the motor, we want to change the capacitor too. We don't want to leave the old capacitor on the motor, right? So it shows you exactly two wires, brown and white, goes to the capacitor right here, these two. And then it shows on the schematic, the black wire is the high speed, right? And the red is the lowest speed, and white is just the common, it's not neutral, right? To be able to energize this motor, we need capacitors, and then black and white, or white and red, depend what size you have. So you always read the number. If you take the motor off the condenser fan, you know, you gotta match it up. If it's like 3/4 horsepower, you know we need 15 microfarad capacitor or 20, whatever is the size telling you. Always on the motor tells you what size capacitor you need. It's even on the box, is right here. So, any questions so far? Okay. So, we can't just change the motor and leave the customer. We gotta test it. So, to test the fan motor, we use two tests. The generic fan motor always have the rotation connection right here. If the rotation is wrong, the fan motor never works, either way, on the furnace or outside, right? We gotta make sure it has the right rotation to get rid of air, cool down the condenser, or get rid of air inside the furnace. So it has an arrow on the housing when you are when you are checking the furnace. So it has always arrow sign right here. It's been airflow or rotation. It says rotation on it. So this way or this way. So you look at these things, follow the shaft or follow the wheel. So which way it goes. We gotta put it on right rotation, otherwise it won't work. So that's exactly what we had last week. Somebody changed the indoor fan motor, it wasn't working. I had to go back and change it out again because the rotation was wrong, burned it out, and wrong capacitor. So we want to make sure we put that on right capacitor, right fan, right size motor. We can't oversize the capacitor or undersize the capacitor. For half horsepower, I find somebody put the 5 microfarad capacitor on it. It overheated and burned the motor. Last week we changed 3-4 condenser fan motor and the blower motor because not sizing the capacitor. The 5 microfarad capacitor, it won't work for 3/4 horsepower, right? You gotta make sure we put the right capacitor, right motor, everything. So, and then when we get to the ECM motor, so this is the blower motor, condenser fan motor. I know everybody knows how to wire that up. If you don't, call Mr. Volkan. He hook you up. And the other motor we have here is the blower motor. You can put the generic one to have a belly or wings on it. This is the 3 wings. Some of them has 4. So the same thing. 2 brown wires, the capacitor, high, neutral, medium high, low. That's all it does. It's on the box too. So when we get to the ECM motor, it's a little bit harder to diagnose the ECM motor. You can have a device connected to the motor and shows you exactly which one is bad. The motor is bad or the control board is bad. Most likely is the motor, is not the control board. The control board is, we've never find the control board is bad. It's always ECM motor, and the motor is fine, it's just a module. So it has 3 screws on the module. To get it quickly checked, while you are at the customer, you just take that module out. It has a 3 small screw. You can just put your hand here with the flat screwdriver and take the screw out and take the module out, and you can look at the inside. See how it looks like? It burned out. These things burned out last week. I had to change it. So, and then for the actual fan motor, you can check that fan motor based on resistance. So you just put on ohms, and then 3 wires is a 3-phase motor here, right? You want to make sure that all of them has the same reading, same resistance. Between yellow and blue, we have here 10. Between yellow and red, we have 10 again. Between blue and red, we have 10 again. So this motor is just fine. Nothing wrong with the fan motor. So only the module is bad. But if it's under warranty, factory sends you the both. You got to change the both. But if you are on demand, you know what to do to recognize the fan is good or bad. Just get the ohms around it. And then another thing you can do, you just check that to the ground, every single wire, see if it's grounded or not, right? Because the primary and secondary winding in this motor sometimes get overheated, touch the housing. So the other way to check it, check everything to the ground. This motor is just fine, just a module. Looking at the module here, make sure after you disconnect it, you don't touch this area because it has 1,000 microfarad every single capacitor here. It's 4 capacitor here, right? It's 4,000 microfarad. Just let it drop down, sit down for at least 5-10 minutes, okay? Because the electrons flow in this circuit is high. It doesn't get you. And then the other connection right here, you can check the grounding. It's just grounded. This module shows me it's bad. So we don't need to have an extra, device to check these things. You can take it out and test it. While it's on the job, if you want to check the control board, always the connection, always we have 220 volts to 240 volts in this circuit, right here. No matter what, if even the system is not calling for heat or cool, we always have 220 volts to this module. The only we send the signal from the control board to the module when it's calling for something. That's what happened. So to take it out very quickly, inspect inside. If you see burned out here, it's bad module. You gotta buy the module and put it on. How to check the capacitor is easy, everybody knows that, right? I had called to get the capacitor, go to customer. After I get there, the capacitor was just fine. We ordered capacitor, we went next day to the customer, just put it on microfarad, your motor, your ohm meter, put it on microfarad and check it out. See how much we have. This is the reading at 10 microfarad, it says right here. You have to have at least minus plus 5%. So here is 10. To check the capacitor is easy. We don't need to order capacitor. While you are at the customer, you can check it out in a second, right? We don't need to order capacitor while we don't need. So if the motor doesn't work, it doesn't mean it's a bad capacitor. Just check the motor, put down another capacitor. Some motor is just have different kind of capacitor. Sometimes it's 40 microfarad capacitor, 20 microfarad capacitor. Yeah, those are you gotta check the capacitor before you do anything. Just make sure is your motor is bad or your capacitor is bad. It's two things, right? Do you have a voltage to the fan? It doesn't matter, outdoor fan or indoor fan. We have a voltage, right voltage to the fan. So if it's indoor fan motor, whatever the wire is inside the board is calling for cool, you know which wire is energizing, right? These two wires, neutral and black, right? When it goes to cool, automatically the black wire is just the high speed, right? Put your clamp on it, get the ampere. See, ampere is matching with the nameplate factory design or higher. If the factory design said the most ampere is 4.5, so if you have an ampere of 5 or 6, this means your motor is going bad, right? It's gonna stop working. It's gonna get hot and stop working. The higher ampere, it shows you. The ampere is right on the side. You get the ampere. That's very important. Even in condenser fan motor, if you change, you change the capacitor on the condenser fan motor. You know which wire is your fan, right? So put your clamp on and see the ampere. The ampere has to be at least same or less than whatever factory design, right? If its ampere is high, it means your motor is getting hot, is overheating. That's what you're getting to drive too much amps. Any questions? No? I think that's about it for now. It's all very easy stuff. You know, the rotation, make sure it's the right rotation, the ampere, and the capacity. Thank you so much, guys, for coming. I appreciate it. I know we are busy. They said wrap it up in 15, 20 minutes. Better go back to the call. So.
On the condenser fan, I want to make sure you're getting the right RPM too.
Right RPM, yes. You can't just, is it 1075 RPM?
Yeah, I went to one that was supposed to be an 800, and they put a 1075 on, universal. It was that little tiny carrier that's like this big. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, the RPM is important. Is that if you put the, instead of 800 RPM, you put 1100 RPM, the ampere goes up, right? The ampere goes up. It's not, maybe it's get rid of heat faster or better, but if you put the generic motor, it makes it shaking the unit, and also makes noise, and eventually it stops working. The RPM is important.
The size of the condenser fan motor too, because those tiny little ones, you can't get the fan
Yeah, the fan blade.
blade
hit
up
the-
high enough so it drops below the coil.
Always check, if you take the blade off, you gotta adjust it the way, if you take this motor off, the small motor off the condenser fan, and you wanna put this one on, right? See how it is? You gotta match it up with the wheel, with the blade. Just whatever, you take the blade off from here, put it right here. So it doesn't push the air inside. We have to remove the heat from the condenser, right? You can see that. You know, you can see how the air movement is above the coil. And then to check the actual, you know, you go to the call, you said the indoor fan motor doesn't work. Doesn't mean the fan is bad, right? You don't know. So you take the wire off the control board, right? You know which wire is. And you get your voltmeter, put it on the board. This one neutral, this one on the cool, right? You get volt, when you're calling for cool, you get your voltmeter, right? Just put it, the wire, which wire goes to this wire goes to the board, you just take them off, and put your voltmeter on the neutral and the high to see if you get actual voltage to the fan. If you get 120 volts to the fan, and fan not working, it means something wrong with the fan. If you have no 120 volts to the fan, doesn't mean its fan is bad. Take them off, put it back, put the new, you get the same problem again. You gotta find what caused it not sending the right voltage to the blower, right? Blower motor. All these little things, you know, you spend a little bit extra time, you know, you find the problem and you fix it. If you can, just call Mike Volkan, he troubleshoot it for you. Any other questions? No? Okay, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it, guys. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Why do you go and burn that thing out? Why do you go and burn that motor up?
Somebody did it.
That's all.
What do you do with like, I switched out an inducer motor that wasn't actually bad yesterday under warranty.
Inducer motor?
Yeah, inducer assembly.
It doesn't matter, they won't ask for it.
They won't ask for it back? Okay. So just toss it?
Well, you can throw the motor over there and let Tyson toss it, help him track if there's a warranty part or whatever.
Okay, yeah, because they did it, but they did it under parts warranty, toss it.
That's fine. They won't ask us for that. I mean, he'll keep it for 30 days, but they never, usually compressors, you know,
So we
things
just
like that.
ordered, when this happened, we just ordered it.
We can't on Goodwin, depends on the manufacturer. Some of them sell separate, some of them sell it as a unit. Goodman sells this new one as, I mean, their old ones as a unit. I don't know if the new ones are, they sell the hub or not. Yeah.
That motor's like what, like $400 or $500 for our cost?
Oh, yeah, it's about $550.
Here you go, sir. Going to lose your breath.
This is at least 500.
But currently, we'll say 28.
That motor doesn't do that. It's just a module.
But what they're saying is most of the Goodman pretty much just have to replace it all.
If it's under warranty, they want you to change the whole thing. They send it to you anyway. Easy to change it, just take that module, put that module. You don't have to change the whole thing. It takes 2 hours. Just put my few hands right there. Take the module, put the new module.
You know what I'm looking?
You don't need to change it. This fan doesn't go. That's what the,
This mainly goes down before this. But would this cause any damage to this?
no,
Like a valve? Never? It just makes it stop working.
it's just a stop working.
So don't put your tongue on here or anything.
It should be on the schematic. Hey,
Wake up real quick.
Yeah, thank you.
so Ali,
Yes, sir.
you said on the warranty they're gonna send you the motor and.
Yeah, the whole thing
So
is,
would you just, like say the module's bad, just
just change the module.
say that, and then just put the motor, keep it as a spare?
Yeah,
Right.
because this motor doesn't go back. It's just brand new motor. If something happened, these things that stop the motor. It doesn't get overheated or anything.
I have a question. What are the RPMs on it?
The RPMs? This
Where
is,
you find us with the information?
the RPM is right here. 1250
Okay.
RPM. Yeah, every single motor has everything. The right capacitor, this one doesn't have capacitor because it's the ECM motor.
Those are capacitors, those are capacitors.
Yeah, the capacitor build up inside the module. We don't have the actual capacitor for the motor.
So is that like what's in an Evolution? Like they have, they have a giant board on them? What is that?
This is all the resistor and different stuff in it. The reason they put this thing because they want to seal the waterproof. Not getting the moisture to.
And where were you taking your readings off of the here?
Yes, to the ground. Or if you want to make sure this motor is fine between these three.
Between that three pieces?
Yeah.
You guys can say it, no problem.
You have to have the same ohm drop to the binding. Ready? Just look.
I've seen. You've seen, not one stuff. Systematic. Please do.
She recited the whole inspector script without looking at it yesterday. She really did.
Thank you.
So I missed the inspector training, didn't I?
No,
Not a
we didn't
training,
do
we
it.
just did the, but I bet you, I mean, I think I can do it for you guys. But
Yeah, we do fine. We got it, man. We just- So you say that and then you set yourself up. Throw it, you can do anything.
How you doing, John?
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, pretty good. Another day in paradise.
So where'd you get your vest?
So this is Amazon. I'm telling you, it's the best one I've found. Best one I've found.
I like how it hooks on yours.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it doesn't pull on my ears. They got big enough ears. I don't need help getting big and big. You know, and it just sits on the nose. It's not pulling my nose down. There's so much, and you don't even see my mouth. You
Yeah.
know, where, you know, Andrew Every's up constantly like that, you know, and the picture's in his mouth because it's so tight. This one just, shit, I don't fog it up, my glasses don't fog it up.
Yeah.
material on that one, and I like the material on this one, is it's super thin, you can breathe. I hate the other ones, the ones that we got off the get-go, because you breathe, it's, gosh,
They're
it's
too
freaking
big for
solid.
my mouth,
Yeah.
or for my face, like I was wearing my son's mask, like a child's mask, but this, like when I put it on, it just like slowly slides down off my face.
So that's, what are we doing on today?
I don't know,
I'm
yeah.
not sure if it's still on that. I think
I don't really need these.
we are, but I think he's only on the other part of the week.
I'm gonna take this opportunity. Go potty.
You guys are from East?
Pardon?
You guys going back to East? Not you?
I mean,
Maybe you guys still here? You still
Oh,
here.
are you talking about to twin?
Yeah, three?
Yeah.
You guys were local for here. Service technician? Or
tune-up tech.
you?
Tuna.
You?
You guys are all twin?
No,
I'm twin.
Twin.
these two are still. This
Dang, twin's gonna be like all, it's just gonna be Travis and
Travis, Alicia,
Alicia and
and you and Roy. Roy.
Roy's back and forth in
Roy's
between.
manager.
now.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
Yeah, thank
It's
you.
all we can share that.
Yes, thanks.
I looked outside and,
Get blinded by the light.
yeah.
I wonder if we should just get started on our work. My head hurts.
I'm kind of interested to see what he does, just because if you and I were working, I wonder what he's gonna do with Joe. Being that I'm so close to being done, I don't know if he probably just want to start Joe on the computer.
Oh, yeah, Joe has been screwing.
No. So, I wouldn't be surprised if he sends one of us out with Andrew today.
Bless you. Damn, Gina.
That's why I try to hold it.
I keep forgetting that this pair of pants in particular, besides the fact that they collect everything,
Yeah, I hate pants like that.
they just,
Because I live on a farm, so like before work, even if I just go out and throw some alfalfa out, I look down and say, I didn't freaking roll in it. But it stays hungry on there. I'm excited just to start. I think everything's gonna be a whole lot easier as soon as you actually get out there.
Ooh,
That's how you want to close it up?
yeah.
That kind of just rolled right off the tongue.
What's that?
Oh, I tell you what, you know. But I ordered these. They're those face shields. Yeah,
Yeah, I got one exactly like that.
Yeah.
Mine's colored.
yeah.
Good.
Well, I've got on Facebook they had a deal where it was like $20 for 5 of them. And
That's exactly what I got.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I ordered 2 of the white American flag ones because I kind of wanted it to match the shirt, you know.
Yep.
But then I got the red, white, and blue one,
Yeah.
and then I ordered the 2 like black American flag ones. They go on there.
Yeah. I got a table for
you
you.
guys are coordinating
Yeah.
with your
No, I'm
outfit.
telling you.
That's awesome.
You know what I'm saying?
Is it that one that you
Should I
showed?
show you
me last
pictures
week?
of it?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, how you gonna buy that? Because that needs to be in your house.
Yeah, it does.
That's serious. It's got the hidden gun compartment.
Have you seen those deals on Facebook where it's got your headboard on your bed, and then you reach your hand underneath and that shotgun falls out? Those are awesome. Awesome. Ones.
How you guys?
Pretty good.
You right?
Yeah.
You're, where's it going, right? Okay, I just want to make sure, it's like, been killing me trying to figure out where I saw you before. Where is Bryce?
He's back in Twin right now.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he'll come back up tomorrow, I think.
Gotcha.
Today or tomorrow.
Gotcha. Well, I was sitting, when I saw you the other day, when you guys were over there doing your practice, whatever you call it. I
Oh,
was like,
our role play?
yeah, I go, she looks so familiar, and it's been bugging me, and then today I saw you, and I went, I gotta figure this out. You ever have that where you see somebody and you're like, I know that person?
Yes, that's what I was like this morning. I'm like, that dude looks so familiar. Oh,
Yeah.
I remember.
I
met
flipped
you at
Roy off
Home.
when I had the U-Haul.
Yeah.
Yeah, Roy recognized me at the U-Haul in the middle of frickin' nowhere. He's like, that's Wayne.
I know. I'm like, hey, that guy's flipping me off. What's going on?
Have a good day, guys.
Me too.
Too.
Just in case I'm interested to see what he's got going on today, because either we're gonna go through the inspector, I would say, or he's gonna put you guys on the computer, and he'll either send one of us with the driver, or
He
he might
doesn't.
even,
He's off today.
Don's,
Don's off. No,
Andrew's off today.
Yeah.
You know what I want to do? So I think
What do you want to do?
I want to travel the world.
Wanna who?
Stop.
How are you gonna do it?
Yeah, how are you gonna do that? We're just tuning up Texas.
I'm just going to tell everybody from the bus opportunities.
And we're supposed to,
Bow down.
oh, that type of shit.
Bend the knee.
Bend at the knees, not the waist.
Haven't you ever seen Game of Thrones?
No. Girl, I'm old.
So?
Me too.
I'll tell you this.
Shut
Here's
up.
the, so I watched it.
It's so awesome.
I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it. So I watched the show similar, a series similar to it. It was called, hold on a second. Stand by. I don't know.
That's a good series.
Rain, R-E-I-G-N.
Oh, I
I've
can
heard of
remember
that.
that.
Oh, I got into that. I liked it.
So, Game of Thrones is fucking sick. Dude,
But I heard it's,
Jon Snow is my host.
yeah,
It's nuts.
is he Bob? Skinny? What kind of guy is
He's
he?
like-
Dark hair, light hair, tall, skinny,
Dark
short?
hair. Dark hair?
Dark
He's
hair.
got a beard.
He's gonna be thick.
He's
most likely.
not thick.
He's
He's
not.
like standard.
What's standard?
Yeah, what is standard?
Standard or skinny?
He's like your build.
But tall.
Taller. Yeah, I think so.
So I'd say he's- Skinny.
He's pretty hot. You guys would think so too. You guys never get.
Hey, no, there's men out there I'm like, well, like a rock.
Ew,
If
that's
I can look
mom's
like him,
crush.
Oh,
My mom
Well, I don't
thinks
give a
he's
shit.
the sexiest thing.
Yeah, well, because he is. He is. He's huge. He's handsome. He's got a banging personality. Like the dude's a package.
yeah, he is.
He's the package.
I don't know.
Yeah. I'll guarantee you that big boy's, he's bringing some heat.
He's
And
cool.
you're like looking at him going, yep, today's the day, big boy.
Just like that.
I'm gonna take you.
I'm gonna take you. Well, my 44 is gonna take
You know, you gotta prep yourself up for the day. You sit here, you're like, I don't know if I can take that guy. He's a big guy. I don't know.
No, I just
Here's
don't
me.
like-
I'll,
I don't find him hot. Like, I don't find him sexy. Like,
what
he's
don't you find sexy? Is it his muscles? Is it his thickness? Is it his eyes? Is
his
it?
face. I'm not
He's not, so he's not, he's got the Filipino eyes. Like, he's got big old bug out eyes. I got a nephew. He's got big old bugged out eyes. It looked like a little alien when he was born. He really did. And he was Filipino, so they have no cartilage in their nose, no, septum, fish. Septum's here, so they do have septum. They
That's
just
a
don't have,
bridge.
they don't have a bridge. Did
So,
you know that?
no. My kids are Mexican. My oldest son was
Mexican or Hispanic?
Mexican.
They're from Mexico?
They're
Daddy from Mexico?
Mexican American.
Daddy from Mexico?
No.
Okay.
So, my oldest son, when he was born, he had this, dude, I don't understand it, it's
Yeah.
so bad. But he had this
I
head
wanna see.
full of black hair. He had, I was telling him this the other day, I'm like, Riley, when you were born, you were so cute and chubby. You had hair on your back, you had a mustache, you had freaking hairy legs and arms, like, just a little Mexican baby all the way. And then my second son was born
years old, he'd get his head going and he'd be running and you just watch him
Just
lean and
watch
just
him fall
boom.
over.
Yeah.
You know, most babies aren't super cute when they're first born. My oldest son, he was like so cute. And I'm not just saying that because.
Lincoln was cute, he was not, he came out cone-headed and blue. So, picture this. Vagina, right? Wrapped around his neck, so they stick it out. No life. His cheeks and everything's pushed up, right? Not crying, not doing nothing. Not crying, just sitting there. Stick it out. Blue. Okay, he's blue. Now,
He's so fat.
did you have heartburn?
Bad when I
Oh,
was
I
pregnant.
can't. Man, that much hair?
He was so fat.
If your girl is having heartburn during pregnancy, that child is coming out with hair. This,
This
This
was when he
thing.
was a toddler.
all you know is once.
Man, I shot up like a rocket.
Oh, he's handsome, boy. Yeah, he's gonna be a good looking kid.
So he's at that age, so he's
How old
taller
is
than
he?
me, he's getting chunky. He's 12. That was when he was a toddler.
How old, do you know how tall he was on his second birthday? There. If you double their height on their second birthday, that's how tall they'll be.
Look at this picture. So this makes me laugh.
That's
My
how,
uncle,
that's, everything is, you feel like they don't start themselves, blah, blah, blah.
my uncle's a white boy. His daughter's total white girl, and then you got this little Mexican baby with these two whiteys.
So my stepdaughter's half.
Yeah,
half his name.
he's like the super tan little baby.
That was Josh. So then you have Gingers, that's like you and me, and then all of a sudden you have her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like fair skin, and all of a sudden you have an olive colored skin kid with brown hair, and you're like, who's dear to you?
My littlest brother, Joe, he came out and they called him Ladies Man because came out full dark hair, had the sideburns
Oh,
going.
shit.
And he came out and he stretched and he already had pipes, and stuff. Yeah, he already knew he was the shit, right? As soon as he was born.
That's the name Joe.
Yeah.
We come out, we're ready to roll.
Yeah. That kid's gonna be stacked.
This was his brother.
He's
the
12
white
now.
boy.
12.
Yep, he's 12 now. And he's yoked.
Don't mind the mess.
Here's my son. You ready for this?
Yeah.
No, I don't want to say it.
Do it.
This is fun.
Oh my god. Holy tailhead.
No, it's so fun. He looks retarded. That's why I was laughing so hard, because they were stuck to his head, right? And his eyes, look at his eyes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he was messing with me. I was laughing so hard. Like, I literally was laughing so hard. I want to get a good eye. Oh, here's a good eye shot.
That's awesome.
Tell me he doesn't look special needs. You know what I'm saying? So I was literally laughing so hard. Oh, here's me with missing my tooth. You guys got lucky. I could have been hillbilly on your ass.
You fit right in over here.
So doesn't this look like me? This is my youngest son when he was a baby.
Yeah,
That looks
Yeah, it
like
does.
me.
yeah. I think your oldest boy,
He's got the
I
same.
think your oldest boy has your eyes.
Yeah.
Not the color of your eyes, but definitely the shape.
Yeah.
For sure.
So my youngest son, this is what he's like totally into like doing his hair, like the way he looks, everything. Where's my pictures?
It must be a youngest son thing, because little Joe,
When's
his like,
birthday?
what's that?
When's his birthday?
His birthday's April 17th,
So he's an Aries.
but he wanted to be Jason Bourne. When he was young, so he get his hair all slicked up and everything else.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's do some role playing this morning.
Oh, man.
Get refreshing back up. What do you mean, oh no?
She did good yesterday, really good. We took a break.
See how he says that? It's kind of backhanded.